Welcome everybody to the Squawk Experience, episode number 24 with Steve Kerr, aka Powerful Steve. Steve is the king of inspiration and a peace officer accredited by the United Nations and is an international Guinness Book Award-winning speaker and author of 7 books. Powerful Steve is a gifted storyteller that will ignite the passion in you to achieve your maximum potential. His love for humanity has sparked an international movement that you will need to hear. That's an amazing intro. I need to hear this.
But first,
Powerful Steve, before we dive into the show, as per tradition on the Squawk Experience, we always bring a drink to profile the guest that we are speaking with. And you being a man of faith, I got myself a nice bottle of red wine. This one's from the Chateau Vaugelas. It's a blend of a couple of grapes, so not quite sure which ones, but that doesn't really matter. As the man upstairs famously did, turn water into wine. I thought this would be appropriate.
And we'll turn wine into water.
Yeah. So
well, listen, you guys got the wine, and I got the water. So let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen.
Here we go.
So Danny, what did you bring for Powerful Steve?
I actually took the same thing. Took the same kind of approach. Chen and I usually don't collaborate on drinks, but this time we actually did. So I knew Chen was picking a red. So, you know, we like to have equal representation here. So I picked a nice white. This is a Testarossa Santa Lucia Highlands 2015. 2015 was a particularly dry year. So when that happens, it really forces the grapes to really dig down deep, and you tend to have really good years on the dry years, right? When you have wines that are made in Florida, they're good, but they're very, very sweet, right? So the more the drier, more kind of buttery yet acidic Chardonnays tend to thrive in those kind of climates, and this was a very good year for them. So cheers, guys.
Speaking like a connoisseur.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I had no idea that he was going to take us a trip down a tour of the connoisseur of wine. I must applaud you.
I actually have a question for Danny here. Does a dry season lead to more dry wine?
Okay, so the tannins don't necessarily correlate with the dryness of the season. What you experience when you taste dry wine are tannins, right? And those are related to the class of the grape, right? The family of the grape.
Okay.
For example, if you have like a Malbec, that's going to be a lot more drier, no matter what kind of Malbec grape you have, than say a Pinot, right? And so, you know, you tend to have a little bit more of a flavor spectrum when you force as I said, you force that grapevine to really dig deep down. It tends to weed out the weak ones, literally.
Well, thank you very much for the lesson in wines. Back to our guests for today on the Squawk Experience. So, Powerful Steve. First of all, I want to ask you the name Powerful Steve. I love it. How did you come up with that?
Yes, several different reasons actually that it just culminated into what it is now. It started out really as something of, I guess you could say, a persona. I'm a speaker, as you said, a storyteller and so forth. And when people came up to me after I spoke, and I'm talking about these are individuals from different moments of time in which I spoke, the number one word people kept saying is, wow, that message you just gave me was powerful, powerful, powerful. That was a word that just kept coming up. And I love that. But the thing about it is, I embrace my African root. I was born in Jamaica. I was raised in Canada, and I discovered my heritage back in 2004. I'm actually Nigerian, and I come from a tribe called Igbo. And so essentially, hold on one second. No, it's cool. It's cool, I know. Yeah, so as I was saying, I come from a tribe called Igbo. So I started to meet people from my tribe, and I started to meet more people from Africa, and they have some really interesting names. Like I have a friend now, his name is God's Time. And I have
Wow.
another friend, his name is Favor, and there's beauty, there is blessings, there is true faith. And so here I am introducing my friends, you know, my new friends. And then I say, oh, and my name is Steve. It just seemed
How
like, you
fitting.
know, I needed to step my name and embrace my African culture. And so it was almost like it was written in the stars. I just said, I'm going to change my name to Powerful Steve. And so essentially, it's no longer like a title. I am legally going to change my name to Powerful Steve.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
it. You know, there's a lot of cultures around the world that has a meaning to their names. I mean, even in Vietnamese culture, a lot of the names stated for when parents give to their children are meaning to the names itself, right? So it's
Yeah.
very similar to the African tribe. So
Mhm.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe, in fact, you see a lot of that in the Anglo world too. For example, if you trace the name back deep in history, right? For example, my name, Daniel, I believe, you know, somebody might want to fact check me on my own name, but I'm pretty sure it means like prophet of God or something like that.
Yeah.
Because Daniel was a very famous prophet, you know, in the Bible. He also shows up in the Quran as well.
Yes, you're absolutely right on that. I was going to mention that to you if you didn't take it from the biblical perspective. But yes, prophet of God, voice of God, a prophet, uh, they eliminate their voice, and when they speak, they're speaking as the oracle. The word is the oracle of God. So God used prophets to bring messages to those that were ruling the land, meaning kings and elders and things like that. So they really didn't have a voice of their own. When people saw them, when they came into the community, everybody gave them a certain level of reverence because they know that they've been on the mountaintop somewhere, they've been in meditation or fasting, and if they're coming in the community, that means God has something to say. And so that's exactly what your name is, your voice of God or prophet of God. Yes.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. So Powerful Steve, I have to disclose that we did meet one another at the Sermon on the Mount, was it?
Yes, that is
Yes,
absolutely right.
yes.
On the
And
Mount.
well, we can talk about that journey itself, which was very enjoyable. And yeah, to everybody who's listening to this, you know, just a short plug on that fantastic event there that you guys should all join Powerful Steve on. But
Yeah.
prior to going there, you did show me a badge, which was very interesting, right? Yeah, so it was a badge from the United Nations as a peace
That is
officer,
correct.
right? And I have to say that's like a hefty piece of metal holding it in your
Well,
hands.
since you mentioned it, here it is right here. This is the badge right
Yeah.
here. It is official. I am a peace officer accredited by the United Nations. There is my certificate there, and essentially, yeah, I don't really know what more to say on that.
So
Well,
what
what
does it
Just
entail,
that.
being a peace officer?
Well, think of it this way. You have officers right now that they are peace officers also, but they have the authority to arrest you. I don't have the authority to arrest you, but I have the authority to keep the peace. And so, being a peace officer, whenever there's any crisis that goes on in the world anywhere, I can get called on based on the level of skills of my
oh,
peace officer. They can call on me. So, a lot of my background is spirituality. I am a certified chaplain with accredited in Canada and United States. So I can go into a government building and minister. I can go into the hospitals. I can go into the prisons. I actually can, if somebody gets in an accident on the side of the road, I can take out my credentials and I could wear the credentials and also deal with the present situation at hand. And they have to allow me to administer to the person, because the person might be a faith believer and it's possible they might not even make it to the hospital. So they usually give me 2 or 3 minutes to talk to the person before they cart them away in the ambulance.
Wow, that's fantastic. So for all those who are aspiring to become a peace officer, how does one go about in gaining such credential?
Well, essentially, there are organizations that have training sessions, and you go through the training sessions. You write some material and so forth, and then afterwards, that you get your credentials. If you notice with this here, they ask what country you want to represent. So if you notice on my photo, you would see a Canadian flag behind there, because I am from Canada. I could have actually put a Jamaica, because they gave you the option of what flag you want in your background. I'm Jamaican, I'm also Canadian, and as I said to you earlier, I've discovered my heritage and I'm Nigerian. So ultimately, I could have put any one of those flags back there, but I'm stationed in Canada and I love this country, and I wanted to be a peace officer representing Canada. So here I am.
No, that's fantastic. So how long has it been since you've been an accredited peace officer?
This came about actually in 2019. So we are looking at right now. I'm trying to remember the time period. It's not very long. We're talking about like 6-7 months. It's a half a year. This is the newest venture in which I achieved.
Well, I'm assuming it couldn't come at a better time, especially with everything that's going on in this world.
What is the Go Squawk Trading Program? This exclusive 3-month online program provides new traders with a comprehensive understanding of financial markets and trading. The program focuses on theoretical and real-world practical technique towards trading the markets. The course aims to introduce you to the trading industry and guide you through 5 core topics to help you get started and understand how to approach the trading and investing industry properly. Trading and Investing 101, Technical Analysis, Fundamental Analysis, Financial Products, Trading Execution. These market concepts are applicable over multiple asset classes, including Forex, currency pairings, equity products like penny stocks, blue chips or stock indexes, treasury bonds from around the world, commodities like oil and gold, or cryptocurrencies. The Go Squawk Training Program is a 50-hour course taught 2 times per week over the course of 12 weeks. The program is taught in multiple languages, and all enrolled students will have the ability to retake the program for life. All students have real-time access to daily live training sessions. Finally, the course includes 3 months of access to our Go Squawk AI technology. For more information on a detailed curriculum, start dates, or scheduling, go to our website at www.gosquawk.com or contact us support@gosquawk.com.
What I'm working on right now, it's called Hugology. Hugology. And essentially what Hugology is, the very word, a hug. And back in 2014, I actually met a doctor when I was campaigning for city council for the city of Brampton. I was knocking on doors, and so I knocked on his door and I stuck my hand out to shake his hands. As he opened his front door, he reached out and he grabbed my hand and he pulled me in and he gave me a hug. Now, it brought the emotion of happiness, like, yeah, the guy's giving me a hug, but I was also astonished at the same time, because people just don't do that when you meet them for the first time. So I actually said to him, that's an interesting salutation for meeting somebody for the first time. And he then says that, yeah, there are healing properties in a hug. And it brought a big smile on my face. And I thought that was the end there. And then he said, it's been scientifically proven that a hug has healing properties. And if you get 4 hugs a day, that's for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, 12 hugs a day for growth. And when he said that to me, like, I'm a spiritual person and I knew about the healing properties of a touch. So I immediately received that in my spirit. And right before him, I decreed and I declared that as of this day, I want to be able to hug 12 people, because as a personal development coach, helping people to grow personally, I myself need to grow and evolve too. So I started to hug everybody. It got to the point where when I came across my friends, they knew who I was now. So they just embraced me sometimes before I even embraced them. And so I
Yeah,
realized
that's an amazing story, because Chen and I are big huggers, and I know that you know. So you're a spiritual person, so you believe in energy, right? And I notice a lot of times that people who, I don't want to say have a bad energy, but it doesn't necessarily mix with mine, they get really, really put off by hugging. And I know right away who I'm going to get along with and who I'm not, as to how they hug and if they will at all.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because you're absolutely right. They get put off by the hug because it forces them into a realm that they're not willing to go, because a hug, it pulls out emotions. A hug
Exactly.
is something that's intimate, and they're saying, hey, I don't want to get intimate in a hug. So that person there is usually negative. But I also want to
Yes.
say to you that because you're hugging that person, that's not going to influence you in a negative way, because the hug is pouring out of you. The goodness or your light is pouring out. And so darkness can never envelop light. Matter of fact, in the
Right.
realm of science, science says darkness is the absence of light. So
Right,
when
not the
you
other way
are a
around.
light, right, when you are a light bearer, darkness cannot overwhelm you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and that's always how I feel. Like, I never feel bad. I actually feel good. I feel good that I tried to impart some positivity and some love into this person's life, because you know, where does this action come out of? I mean, the deep seated, at least how I feel, the deep seated purpose for the hug is love. Right, to express that and express that light into somebody else's life, even as just a simple gesture. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's what's called a hugging pole in Vishakhapatnam. It's a town in India by the Bay of Bengal. I actually went to go speak there at a university for my research in in Vishakhapatnam, and there's a ancient Hindu temple where they have this hugging pole where people for thousands of years have come to hug the pole, right? And so when you hug this pole, if some people it has no effect, but me being a little bit more spiritual and understanding energies and things like that, it's just an amazing transcendental experience.
Awesome. Awesome.
I did kind of want to touch on your, the efforts that you're working on, and also your faith itself, if you're at liberty to disclose. Are you a Christian minister, or do you have your own faith?
Yes, I am a Christian minister. I am a follower of Christ. So no, when you say, do I have my own ministry? I do have my own ministry, in the sense that I am a pastor
Gotcha.
of a ministry that I established. It's called the Carpenter's House. We started on the 19th day of January this year. And essentially COVID-19 kind of closed the doors of where we were actually located in Brampton. And so we went to this platform here. We are now operating on Zoom platform. We meet every Sunday morning from 8 in the morning till 10. And right after that, from 10 till 11, we have what's called iTalk. And it's somewhat similar to what you guys are doing right now. The I of iTalk is intimate talk. And so essentially what we do, we find somebody that's looking to better themselves and is willing to share. And we are interviewing them and helping them move from zero to hero, and while other listeners are listening in. So we have a candidate that we work with on a week-to-week basis for iTalk.
Nice. That's an amazing. That's an amazing application, and it kind of touches on something that I realized, in the past few years about the benefits of religion. That just to be completely honest, back in the day, I wasn't always so spiritual, and I went through my atheist phase, as I think every young person is tempted to do. And then I heard the story of Tiamat, which is ancient Mesopotamian myth about how basically humanity killed their god. It's a metaphor, right? They killed their god. They built their cities on his remains, and then the goddess of chaos, Tiamat, came in with no one there to protect them and rained havoc upon the society. And I find that that metaphor to be so relevant today, because there's just so much beneficial aspects of religion in terms of the community, in terms of the developmental aspects of, as you're saying, this eye time, this ability to talk on an intimate level with someone who cares about you. And I don't think that there's an analog outside of religion. It doesn't really matter which religion. If you're talking about Islam or whatever, you would hope that there would be an analog to that for that spiritual development that we just don't see. And I see as the rise in atheism happens, there's just so much. I don't think that we can sit there and attribute this solely and purely to a lot of the societal ills that we have, but I do think that it's probably a contributing factor.
Yes, most definitely. You have many different people searching for a God, searching for the deity, and that's it. We falter. We definitely falter when we try to figure it out on our own, rather than getting connected with our inner being, our soul, our spirit, because that is the part of us that actually communicates with the invisible realm. And so you have the physical man, you have the mental man, and you have the spiritual man. So the first thing I teach people is you have to awake the spirit that is within you, because it is through that channel which you're going to hear the voice of your creator. The best way I can say I describe it is, if you think of a radio, that you're listening to a radio station, it could be 93.5 Flow FM, and a song may come on that you don't like, and you change the channel to 98.7 GFM, and you says, okay, I like this music. Just because you change the channel, that doesn't mean that 93.5 is not playing anymore. You just you're just no longer tuned in to that frequency.
That's an amazing analogy that I actually have a spiritual mentor, and he used the exact same metaphor for his ability to kind of relax his brain and open up his mind to the universe. And he analogized it as channels. And, you know, sometimes you receive some dark stuff, sometimes you receive some good stuff. And it's all a matter of tuning yourself to the frequencies you want to hear.
That's amazing. I remember,
right.
sorry to cut in, but I remember when we were on the mount, we were talking about light waves, and how you can, you know, there's visible and invisible light waves that you can tune into, or that you don't see with your physical eyes. So that analogy that you just mentioned there kind of ringed my bell, so to speak, about our discussion with visible light waves, and how we can kind of like tune in or tune out of certain visible light waves.
Well, also it was discovered recently that plants actually scream. I will repeat this. Plants actually scream. When you cut them and you trim them, they emit a very, very high frequency sound that is so high that really only bats can hear it. And this was only discovered recently. And I mean, like within the last year recently. And so, you know, there's a whole universe literally of, you know, frequencies and spectrums out there, whether it's the light spectrum, the compression spectrum, electromagnetic spectrum, that we just, you know, aren't privy to.
And I love the way that you said that, because every living organism wants to live. And anytime it is in jeopardy of that, yes, there is, we may say it's an emotion or whatnot, or you may just say it's a reaction, whether it be, you know, the cognitive ability of a human being. We have the ability to reason. Now, the animals do not reason, but they operate on instinct. So if they're in a situation where they know they're going to die, they're going to respond from instinct because they want to live. Now, with us, we are a little bit more intricate. We have the ability to reason things out. That's something that animal kingdom and the plant kingdom do not have, but most definitely they are alive. And yes, they do communicate.
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, I always love these deep dives into spirituality and stuff. It's very, very insightful, and I think it's very much needed, especially during times.
Yeah, and with that, I think that with these trying times, I think that people are looking for something, right? They're looking for an answer. They're looking for someone to help them. You know, if we had, if we just take a look at the economy now versus exactly 1 year from now, I mean, it's just night and day, right? Homeless rates are on the rise, suicide rates are on the rise. So for somebody seeking to better themselves through spirituality, Powerful Steve, what would your message to them or advice to them be on a place to start, right? Because we have kids like 15 years old, 16-year-old. They're coming to us on our Discord because, you know, to tie this into what we do have a fintech company, and we offer services for people to, you know, take control of their financial future. But, you know, a lot of these people are coming to us out of desperation. They're like, I need you to help me, you know, and it's like, unfortunately, that's probably not the place you want to be when you're looking to invest or to make money on something. You never want to come from a position of desperation, but I just see this desperation and nervousness and anxiety all throughout, basically everywhere you turn. And so I think that, you know, this is a perfect place for spirituality to come in and really help people get in tune with themselves. So please, if you have any advice on where they can start, we'd really appreciate it.
Yes. What I would tell them is there are 5 things in which I do to communicate with the invisible realm. So I would give them the instructions to start there. Essentially, these 5 things, they are, you know, take the time to write them down and look at them and research them, and you would see. First and foremost, I do believe that every single product comes with an instruction manual. And how I say that is, you and I, we go to Walmart and we buy a product. And once we open that box, usually right on top, you have what's called the instruction manual. And it usually tells you, before you even take the product out, please read the instruction manuals. It tells you, please do not tamper with the product, because if you tamper with the product, it's going to negate your warranty. They said if it's broken, you got to take it to a certified dealer. And so that instruction manual, I come to understand from my perspective, that's the Holy Bible. The very
Nice.
holy means to be set apart. So the 5 things that I do is I read and I study. That's number 1. I study the book in which tells me who I am. And so that's number 1. Then this book tells me the important things on how to get from the physical realm into the spiritual realm. And it talks about prayer. All right. That's a thing you need to study to find out what prayer is. And it talks about fasting. Fasting is to deny your outer body, deny your body food and water for a brief period of time. And there are good ways to fast and also bad ways to fast. So you don't just dive into it. You got to study and understand what it is to fast, because you can damage your body if you don't fast the proper way. So these things that I'm saying right now, I'm giving you disclosures that you don't just, oh, you know, Powerful Steve said I must fast, and all of a sudden you stop eating for 10 days. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you to study the words and understand them before you venture in there. So let me get back to the beginning again. So we talk about studying the word, we talk about prayer, we talk about fasting, then there's meditation. Now, once you learn something, you start to meditate on it and allow it to seep inside of you. For instance, I had challenges on the word forgiveness. I came into Canada and I came into a period where there was a lot of racism and so forth. And, you know, people were hating me because of the color of my skin. But yet humanity says, I got to forgive these Europeans, forgive these Caucasians that's calling me all these manner of names. And so I was faced with the challenge of forgiveness. And so I learned how to envelop that through meditation. And so I overcame my demons by embracing forgiveness through meditation. And the 5th thing is to fellowship, is to have communion with your fellow man. Like right now on Go Squawk, we are fellowshipping, and your listeners, I am engaging your listeners right now. And so here is the fellowship. So those 5 things, you practice those 5 things, and you will start to hear the inner voice, and you will start to communicate with your creator.
That's amazing. I don't think I've ever shared this on Go Squawk, but I have I actually have 3. And my 3 is a little bit more hitting the prayer and meditation side of your spectrum. And that's number 1, to clear your mind of all thoughts, right? Now, that's a lot harder than it sounds, especially when we have, the phone ringing and Instagram messages popping up and emails going bing, bing, bing. It's very difficult to do. But if you can clear your mind of all thoughts, and what'll help you to do that? Number 2, focus on your breathing, right? Slow, steady, and deep breaths. And you'll find if you're in a stressful situation or in a confrontational situation, then, just doing those 2 things almost immediately puts you in a place of calm, rational, caring thought, right? Where you can approach the situation, whatever it is that you're going through, with a rational mind as opposed to reactively. And the third thing I felt really, really helped. There's actually a choice. There's 2 schools of thought here. Either one, you want to single in on one singular element within your environment. So a lot of forms of meditation, you'll have a candle, right? And you just in a dark room and you just look at that candle. The other form that I like to do is actually where you take in the entire picture as one unified whole at the same time, right? And I used to practice this when I used to go for runs on the beach, because it was my way of getting in touch with my creator and the universe. And by taking in all this beautiful scenery, but looking at it as a unified whole all at once. And so I think that those 3 things are a very, very simple place that some people can just start. And, they actually did an experiment where people would rather receive an electric shock than be alone with their own thoughts for 10 minutes. I'll repeat that. They would rather receive an electric shock than just be alone with their own thoughts for 10 minutes. And for me, I relish these times when I could be alone with my own thoughts for 10 minutes. And that's when I practice those techniques.
That is good. Yes. Meditation, definitely you need to have a realm of silence where you could channel, where you can focus and so forth, and tune into the voice that's coming from the universe. Yes, I applaud you and I agree with everything that you said.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I'm still trying to figure all of this stuff out myself. Still in that searching phase. But listening to what you guys are saying and reading on to what some of the most successful people in the world are doing, I like to reference like Ray Dalio, for example, is another one. He's very big into meditation. And through meditation, it has helped him succeed quite a bit in his own career. So there seems to be a connection here where some of the most influential and most successful people in the world are onto something.
Well, don't forget to give your buddy credit on this one. You got
to give credit where credit
as a startup.
You and the
cheers, man.
Cheers, cheers to that. So,
as a startup, so just one thing to finish that thought. As a startup, we faced some really hard times and times where we felt like giving up or throwing in the towel or maybe doing something else. And a lot of times I respectfully could come in as the voice of reason after a long period of meditation and prayer on the topic. And look at us now, we're still here. So
don't forget about point number 5 that PowerfulSteve mentioned with community.
Community is a huge thing too.
From one another through the ups and downs, because that is the nature of running like a startup, where one person will crash or one person will feel super stressed out or wants to quit. And it's very important to have a very supportive network where you can, reach out to, and, they can kind of like lift you up and point you in the right direction again. So that's extremely important. So all 5 points that you mentioned there, I couldn't agree more with it. And thank you very much for putting it in such an eloquent way.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very succinct. And what I like about it is it wasn't nebulous. It's actionable. Like if you want to start looking into, getting into spirituality right now, these are actionable things that you could start right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So, PowerfulSteve, let's discuss media, because what I've noticed from what you're doing now with the Carpenter's House and the challenges that you're facing is that you've transitioned what you're doing to an online format, and you're reaching a new audience with spirituality and with reaching out to people during these tough times. And I know you're doing these sessions on Zoom. You also have, a vibrant social media account where you're reaching out to people. You also do a lot of books and things like that. How do you tie in media into this message that you're trying to put up?
Well, it's wonderful you should say that, because all the tools, once you start adding tools to who you are, all it's allowing is for you to magnify who you are. And so when you start adding, you are a good person, when you add in financial resources to that, it allows you to magnify who you are as a good person. And so you're using the tools of, here we are right now in a Zoom room, and you got Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. TikTok is the newest thing that I decided to get a hold of also. All of these mediums to reach the demographics, because as you know, as each one of these tools were birthed at different generations of time. So the baby boomers, there's a whole lot of them on Facebook, but the me generation now, not a whole lot of them are using Facebook. And then of course the ones that are in the entrepreneur world, then you got to use LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is number one for that. And you have WhatsApp. And so it's essentially based on who you want to reach and how you want to reach people, that you decide what social media to use. And if you're smart like me, you just get some young people to just manage your sites, because it's just too much for one person. I can't manage all of my social
We're
media
running into
sites.
that very problem too.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because we run into the same challenges. There's only so many things that you can specialize in as an individual, I feel. And there's so many ways to reach different audiences that your skill set may not be up to par with these mediums. And it's probably best to outsource to somebody who is much more savvy with regards to some of these platforms, and ask them to kind of help you
Well,
out.
not only that, but like Powerful Steve said, it's the division of labor, right? So if I'm sitting here doing my thing and working on the tech, and Chen's teaching and doing the live streams, that means that if I have to take time to baby my social media pages, where do I do my work? Right. So Powerful Steve wants to deliver his message. He doesn't want to sit there and be webmaster,
Yeah, and do it effectively. That too.
Yeah, good people are hard to find, but the thing about it is, once again, once you know that they are out there, I have this speech that I wrote actually, and it's actually an award-winning speech, and the title was "How do you build a masterpiece?" And so essentially, the answer to that was, you go to the master that has all the pieces. And so when you really think about what I'm saying is, if you have 1,000-piece puzzle and you have 999 pieces in, that portrait is never complete until that last piece gets put in there. And so essentially, each and every one of us on our own, we are a masterpiece. But then in order for us to magnify ourselves, we have to connect with other people in the universe. Like for instance, right now, Ghost Squawk has two founders, Chen and yourself. And right now you guys have connected and you guys have created a platform that you guys are using your skills as a masterpiece, and you're connecting with other people. And as you connect to other people, those other people are actually a part of your 1,000-piece puzzle. And you have to connect with each and every one of them to create another masterpiece.
Wow, that's amazing.
I always feel very, very moved when we speak to you, and I guess that really comes from the motivational speaking. But I have to say this, like when we met, and after listening to you speak, I was really trying to refine the mission statement of what we're trying to do. And and Danny and I, we always talked about democratizing financial education and financial literacy for people around the world, right? And we've effectively started creating this platform and started using that word more, and started creating technology in ways in which we can connect people around the world and democratize the message and the information that we're trying to share with people. And I have to say, credits to you, because after speaking with you, it really kind of helps us to hone in on the message that we're trying to get out and the platform we're trying to create.
Yes, let me help you with something else. This is something somebody said to me a long time ago, and it made so much sense that I continue to use it. I want you to visualize right now that you are in the future, and you're walking. You're walking in a graveyard with tombstones, and you come across your tombstone. And when you look on the tombstone, it has your name, it has your birth date, and also the year in which you expired. But then it has a statement or word that best defined you in the period of life. What does that word or statement say? What that means is you need to
Awesome.
think, what legacy do you want to
Mhm.
leave in the world, that after you're gone, somebody that is born after you, and if they take a trip through the graveyard, what will they see on that tombstone that speaks to who you were? Once you come up with that statement or word, there you go. That's the direction in which you build what you are building.
Hmm. It's very interesting that you mentioned that, and you mentioned the word legacy because, I myself back, just full disclosure, a few months back, I tried mushrooms for the first time and had this whole psychedelic experience for the first time. And during that moment of highness, I've found myself asking this very same question about the legacy, about the purpose for my life, and what I wanted to do with it. And ever since that day, like I've been like really focused on this mission of trying to bring this technology to the market and sharing it with as much people as possible.
I think Jen and I have both gone through that experience, and maybe not in the same direct connotations with your analogy with the tombstone, but it gets at the same fundamental thing. Why are you here? What is your purpose? If you could sum that up, what is it, right? And I think now we have graduated from that stage and are in the implementation phase, right? Because my friend Coleman actually just recently brought up a quote. I forgot who said it, but it was basically, if you have the how, you can overcome any what that comes your way, right? So if you have that driving vision, you can overcome whatever life throws at you.
That is true. Yes. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
So, Powerful Steve, I always wanted to ask
Yeah.
you, like, how did you become a very gifted storyteller? And when you speak, you're always it's a very powerful message, and I guess that's where the powerful comes from. But just speaking to you for the first time we met, and speaking to you now, you have this impact on people with the way you speak, and the message that you bring across. Did you always have this as a skill, or did you have to develop this?
Yes, just like leadership is something that is a learned behavior. And
Hmm.
so, yes, everybody is gifted, but even though in your gift, you have to spend time into perfect your gift, into home in on the skills of your gift. So I didn't know that I was a gifted speaker. I knew that I was a speaker, but as I grew and then I began to spend more time in the realm of speaking, and as I said, the inspiration comes from the place where my message is not coming from the physical realm nor the mental realm. It's coming from the spiritual realm. And so that's essentially why you would feel the empowerment of that, because as I speak, my words are actually life itself. My words are seeds, and they are being planted in your heart. Your heart represents soil. And as you know, in the physical realm, when you contact a seed in soil, it's going to bring forth a harvest. And so essentially, that's what's going on right now. My words are not coming from the physical man, Steve. It's coming from the spiritual man, Steve, and it's implanting into your spirit. Therefore, there is an unction for you to be and do better, because that's what the message is saying. Everybody is gifted, but depending on if you are negative or positive, that's the direction your message would leave people or lead people. And so be positive, discover your passion and your purpose, and you work at it. And as you work at it, you will master it. And that's the key thing. Everybody has the ability to master who they are. They just have to spend time to develop it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you very much for those amazing words and thoughts. Um, do you have any last message you want to give to the viewers before we close out on this? Or Danny, do you have any last questions you want to ask Powerful Steve?
No, we always respect our guest time, and so we're coming upon an hour. So we would like to give you the opportunity to, maybe say anything that you feel you would like to leave us with.
Yeah, and please share any of your information that you want viewers to contact you on, or any ways in which, social media, emails or anything like that, if anybody's interested or anybody who needs a spiritual guidance can reach out to you.
Yes, thank you very much. I am as I said, I am a pastor, so I deal with spirituality, but I'm also in a business world. I do run a company that's called Destiny Leaders Academy. It's a training institution that teaches one how to empower themselves and to move what I call from zero to hero. And so you could contact me. My contact number is 416-708-5377. Also, my email address, another one is coming, but the one I'm presently using right now is lifecoachstevekerr@gmail.com. I'm offering a 30-minute free coaching complimentary just to for us to meet each other and to see if there is a connection there, because not every student is right for every mentor, and not every mentor is the right one for the student. So that 30 minutes, you could ask me any questions and we get to know each other and we take it from there. The message that I want to leave with you is simply this. When man came to the earth, man saw the birds, the bees, the trees, the flowers, etc., etc. And man came to learn that it's all a part of an ecosystem, and this ecosystem has a purpose. Each thing that we know right now has a purpose. When man came on the scene, they realized that they had knowledge to invent things. So man started to invent things, and before they even invented something, it had a purpose. These glasses that I'm wearing on my nose and my ears right now, before man designed it, it actually had a purpose. So I say to each and every one of you, if everything I create has a purpose before I create it, and as I came into the world has a purpose, the question I asked is this: why not you? Why not you? So my first book, Who Am I, maps to your success. It speaks about that. You recognizing that you came into this earth, and before you entered into the earth, you already have purpose. So if you don't know what your purpose is, that is your primary focus right now. There is nothing more important in this world right now than you discovering what your purpose is. And then you take the word passion, you mix passion with your purpose, and literally you can change the world. I am Powerful Steve, the king of inspiration. And remember, aim high, spread wings, fly.
Fly.
Amazing. I think that there could be no better message that I could think to deliver in times like this. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those kind words. Purpose and passion, that's what really drives people, and it really motivates people. And I really think people really need to discover inside, really, each person has a purpose, and each person has something they're truly passionate about. And if we can all figure that out for ourselves, I think this world will probably be a better place.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Steve, Powerful Steve. It was an honor having you on this podcast. Very powerful words. You did live up to your name.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the invitation, and I'm just looking forward to the great things that you guys are going to do for the future. And I just pray that this Ghost Squawk, if you guys want it to be syndicated, if you guys want it to be on larger network, I'm speaking that in the atmosphere right now, that God will work upon the desire of both of your hearts to be on a larger platform, that you'll be able to reach out and touch more people. You touched on the increase of suicide and the increase of depression and et cetera, et cetera. And I definitely feel by connecting with people in this manner and giving people hope and break free of that despair and oppressive lifestyle that COVID-19 and coronavirus has released on this world, I do believe that you guys are going in the right direction. And the last thing I would say here is, you know, I mentioned about 4 hugs for survival and 8 hugs for maintenance and 12 hugs for growth, but there's 2 more dimensions to the Hugology. That is 16 hugs to transcend and 20 hugs for supernatural occurrences. So I'm sending right now 20 hugs to each and every one of you. I'm sending 20 hugs to each and every one of your listeners right now, because I want all of you to experience supernatural occurrences.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again, Steve. I think we could go ahead and close on this one. So again, we're very honored to have you. Keep it spooky.
Keep it spooky.
All right.